user stories. They sound simple, 3 little sentences, but somehow everyone manages to screw them up. Let me guess. Your backlog looks like a graveyard of vague requirements. Your developers are confused, your product owner is pulling their hair out, and your stakeholders keep asking why features take so long. Welcome to the club. Learning how to write user stories is like learning to ride a bike. Everyone says it's easy until you actually try it. Then you're face down on the pavement wondering what went wrong. Here's the truth. Most teams write user stories like they're filling out a form. They slap together some words, call it a day, then wonder why their sprints go sideways. The problem isn't the format. It's that nobody taught you the actual skill of how to write user stories that work. Let's fix that. A user story is not a requirement. It's not a task. It's not a feature description. It's a conversation starter. Think of it as a placeholder for a discussion you need to have. The story itself is just the appetizer. The real meat comes from talking it through with your team. The classic format goes like this. As a type of user, I want some goal, so that's some reason. Simple, right? Wrong. This is where most people trip. They write things like, as a user, I want to log in so that I can access the system. Congratulations, you just wrote the most useless user story ever. Let's break down how to write user stories that actually help your team build something people want. First, the user, not just a user. Be specific. Who exactly are we talking about? A new customer? A returning power user? An admin? Each persona has different needs, different pain points, different expectations. When you learn how to write user stories with specific personas, you unlock clarity. Your developers understand context. Your designers know who they're designing for. Your testers know what scenarios matter. Try this instead. As a first-time visitor who found us through Google, I want to see pricing up front so that I can decide if this product fits my budget before investing time in a demo. See the difference? Now we're cooking. Second, the goal. This is what the user wants to accomplish. Not what button they want to click, not what screen they want to see, the actual outcome they care about. Too many teams write user stories about system behavior instead of user needs. That's backward. Bad example. As a customer, I want a search bar with autocomplete functionality. Who cares? That's a solution, not a need. Here's how to write user stories that focus on the actual goal. As a customer who visits the site weekly, I want to quickly find products I've purchased before so that I can reorder without passing through navigation menus. Now we're talking about a real problem. The team can brainstorm solutions. Maybe it's autocomplete. Maybe it's a purchase history sect. Maybe it's AI recommendations. The user story opens possibilities instead of closing them. Third, the reason. This is your why. The value proposition. Why should anyone care about this feature? What problem does it solve? What opportunity does it create? Skip this and you're just building features in a vacuum. Include it and subline priorities become clear. When you master how to write user stories with strong reasoning, something magical happens. Your team starts asking better questions. They push back on weak stories. They suggest improvements. The conversation gets richer. Let's talk about acceptance criteria. This is where the rubber meets the road. Your user story is the headline. Acceptance criteria is the article. It defines what done looks like. Without it, you're setting yourself up for endless back and forth. Good acceptance criteria is specific, testable, clear. It answers the question, how will we know this story is complete? Use the given when then format. Given some context, when some action occurs, then some outcome happens. It removes ambiguity. It gives you testers a roadmap. It prevents scope creep. Here's a pro tip on how to write user stories with killer acceptance criteria. Think about the happy path first, then think about edge cases. What happens when things go wrong? What about different user permissions, different device types, different data scenarios? Good acceptance criteria covers the bases without drowning in details. The invest criteria. Every guide on how to write user stories mentions this, but most people forget what it means. Independent, negotiable, valuable, estimable, small, testable. Let's unpack this because it matters. Independent means the story can be developed without depending on other stories. Negotiable means the details can be discussed and adjusted. Valuable means it delivers something users actually care about. Estimable means the team can roughly gauge the effort. Small means it can be completed in none sprint. Testable means you can verify it works. When you learn how to write user stories following Invest, your backlog transforms from a mess into a machine. Prioritization becomes easier, planning gets more accurate, sprints flow smoother, size matters. A user story should be small enough to complete in a sprint, but big enough to deliver value. If your story takes 3 sprints, it's not a story, it's an epic. Break it down. If your story takes 2 hours, it's not a story, it's a task. Group it with others. Finding that sweet spot is part of mastering how to write user stories. It comes with practice. Start too big, split until it hurts, then you'll find your rhythm. Common mistakes. Writing stories from the system's perspective instead of the user's, including implementation details in the story itself. Making stories too technical, forgetting the conversation part. Thinking the written story is the final word. These all kill the magic. The best way to learn how to write user stories is to write bad ones first. Seriously, write terrible stories, then review them with your team. Ask what's unclear, what's missing, what assumptions you made. Iterate, improve, repeat, collaborate. The product owner writes the initial story, but the whole team should refine it. Developers spot technical constraints. Designers identify UX considerations. Testers catch edge cases. When everyone contributes, the story gets better. Another key aspect of how to write user stories is knowing when not to write them. Some work doesn't fit the user story format. Technical debt, infrastructure improvements, research spikes. Don't force it. Use a different format when appropriate. Keep stories visible. Put them on a board, physical or digital. Review them regularly. Update them as you learn more. Archive completed ones. A living backlog beats a static document every time. Here's the secret nobody tells you about how to write user stories. The story itself is the least important part. The conversation it sparks is what matters. The shared understand your team builds. The assumptions you surface. The questions you answer together. That's the gold. Start simple. Pick a user story from your backlog. Rewrite it using what you learned. Show it to your team. Get feedback. Write the next one better. Keep going. In a month, you'll look back at your old stories and cringe. That's how you know you're improving. Mastering how to write user stories isn't about following a template perfectly. It's about communicating clearly, focusing on value, enabling collaboration. Do that, and the format takes care of itself. Now go write some better stories. Your team will thank you.